Hello, and welcome to the latest of a series of Niwa author interviews. I'm interviewing all the authors in the Northwest Independent Writers Association. Today, we are joined by romance writer Tag Gregory. Is that accurate to call you a romance writer? I've noticed everything is.
I actually write in several different genres, but there's always a romance element into almost all of my stories, so that works fine for me.
Okay, awesome then.
Yeah,
Yeah, so your two most recent books are the Rooms for Romance series.
right.
You have one set in an art therapy program and another focused on a court-ordered diversion plan.
So
Uh,
both of those books, that series I've envisioned, it's all set in a fictionalized version of McMenamin's Kennedy School. So it's set
oh,
here in Portland, and my idea for the series will be every book will have a different couple, but they all meet somehow in this hotel that's sort of kitschy and very Portland-like. And they'll all have some kind of interaction with each other, but each book will be a standalone romance book of its own.
yeah.
So,
But they all are set in that same
yeah,
hotel.
yeah.
What? Why did you choose that location?
I just love the Kennedy School, and I feel like it's
Huh.
so very Portland. Like it's the epitome of what Portland is. If you've been there, all the kitschy little artwork and the friendly, small community neighborhood atmosphere and the repurposing of an old building to for a new purpose. It just epitomizes everything I think Portland is. So if you're gonna write about Portland, you got to write about something that just screams Portland to your readers.
Okay. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Um, let's see. So the okay, so yeah, I guess that
those are
was
my
good.
two most recent books. Yeah, I'm working on a new book that's almost done, and it's a
That
completely different genre. It's a
oh
drag queen detective story.
oh okay. Is
Yeah.
that
So
also going to be set in Portland then?
yes, also
That's
set in Portland,
a good
sort
place
of
for one.
in a drag bar, kind of like Darcelle's. So I like to write about Portland. I don't feel like there's enough books out there that are set in Portland or Oregon or the Pacific Northwest. So I'm doing my best to promote our lovely city and state.
Excellent. Well, thank you.
Yeah. That one
Yeah.
is almost done. I'm on the last chapter, or maybe next to last, depending on if I have to do a prologue. So
Okay. And this one is not related to the Roots for Romance
no,
story. Is
no.
is it a romance story though? Also,
No, well, there
let's see.
might be a little bit of romance in this first book. There really isn't. It's a completely
It's,
different genre for me to write in than I have ever tried before. So I'm stretching my wings a little and, experimenting. It's kind of fun. I don't like to be pigeonholed in any one area. So
Mhm. Yeah. So going back real quick to the Roots
yeah,
for Romance one. So it's all set in the same location. Do you have any? Are there any characters who are also in multiple books in those, or
there
are they
will
complete
be
new cast?
there will be um there will be cameos for the characters from prior books in later books, but each romance is its own set of characters. So I
Okay.
don't know.
Cool.
You'll
Yeah.
see, but you will see your favorites pop up again and again.
Yeah. Awesome. So you also have a mystery series and a science fiction series.
Yeah,
Can you tell us about both of those? Because
sure.
especially the science fiction series, is a series of time travel stories
Right.
with the two.
My time travel series is set in World War II in London at the height of the Blitz, and there's a modern day character that goes back. The reason I started writing that is that one is co-written with another author who actually lives in London. And we met online in a writing forum and we just hit it off. And she's like, we should do something in London because she lives in London and
Hmm.
she's got all of the local flavor for me. And the fun story behind that is that we were doing some research, like what kind of story are we going to write, and we knew we were going to have queer characters in there. And we came across some information about the Eagle Squadron, which was a group of Americans who fought in the RAF, who were pilots in the RAF in World War II. And the thing about that era is that if you wanted to learn to fly a plane in 1940s, you could not, there were no commercial piloting schools. In order to learn to fly, you had to join the US Army, which had an Air Corps. But the Army had this weird little psychological test they did on everybody, and they would not let you join if you didn't score well enough on the test and meant you were a homosexual. So if you wanted to learn to fly and you were gay, you had to go somewhere else. And in my story, at the time of World War II, the RAF was just desperate for bodies. They would take anyone, they would train anyone. So my character, my 1940s character, goes to London to learn to fly because he wants to be a pilot. And then the modern character goes back in time and meets him, and you have the clash of two cultures, what it was like to be gay in 1939 versus what it was like, or 1945, 43, 45 versus what it was like to be gay in modern times.
Must have been an interesting thing. Had also must have required a lot of research to do to get not only a different, you know, area than you're used to, but a different time period.
Yes, I did a
So
lot of
both
research.
modern and
There were a couple books and resource materials I used. One was called The Evening Crowd at Kimser's. It was sort of it was a wonderful source about what it was like to go to these underground gay clubs in the 1930s and 40s. It was really interesting. But on that particular series, we researched everything from like when did M&Ms first come out to when did they have those Polaroid booths in the movie theaters? And I had to research all about World War II planes. There was even a website that I spent a lot of time on that maps out where every single bomb in the Blitz dropped on the city of London, and you
oh
can
wow,
see every bomb, and they have links to articles, historical news articles or pictures from the time. So we researched everything on that series.
wow, that's a lot of compilation for a website.
It was fun.
Yeah, I bet. So yeah, and that one, and then you also have the mystery series,
The mystery
which
series
is
is
yeah,
it's sort of kind of like the Notebook. There's an historical romance, and then there's a modern day romance, but there's a mystery that links the two. And it has to do with this particular building in Pittsburgh called the Flatiron Building. And it was really that was another one where I had to do a lot of fun research about the history of the city of Pittsburgh. And the cool story that backs that up is I was visiting Pittsburgh. I was there as a tourist, and I went on a walking tour. And the guide on the walking tour told us the story about how there are all these tunnels under the streets of the city of Pittsburgh. And at the time when all of these wealthy steel barons were first making their first millions back in the night about the turn of the century, the turn of the 20th century, they had tons of money and they built all these amazing buildings, opera houses and theaters and hotels and all this. But it was so polluted and so dirty outside that you couldn't go outside without their beautiful, fabulous, fancy clothes getting just covered in soot from the steel mills. So, to fix it, they built all these tunnels under the streets
oh,
from their beautiful mansion to their beautiful opera house. And you can actually still go down in some of those tunnels today. So that's the inspiration for that story. We have a little mystery involving the tunnels under the streets of the city.
that's interesting. So it's not steam tunnels; they're actually built for pedestrians.
They were built for
That's
pedestrians. Yeah.
okay.
So
So wow, okay. So and according to your bio, you're both a lawyer and a microbiologist, which seems like two fields that require. I mean, each of them requires kind of an extraordinary amount of focus. So how does that work? How do you do that?
so I've been a practicing lawyer since 1992. Um, but about somewhere in my 40s, I decided I was tired of practicing law. I was actually a litigation attorney. I was in the courtroom. I got totally burned out on that. So I went back to school in my 40s and I got a microbiology degree. And the plan was that I was going to use that to start working in the area of patent law. So in order to be a patent attorney, you have to have a science degree and a law degree. So I would have had both.
Oh,
But then I got this wonderful job offer working for a nonprofit. So I now do contract work for a nonprofit. So I didn't actually ever get to the patent law thing, but I do have my wonderful biology degree, and I'm kind of a lifelong learner, so I don't mind it. I feel like no education is ever wasted, even if I'm not actually employed in the area.
I'd say. Yeah, so in both those fields, I guess we do a great deal of research. We talked about that before, or a few minutes ago. Sorry. Um,
And writing.
let's
I've
see,
been writing
and
for
writing,
years and
yeah,
years and years. I just never, it wasn't until I was in my 40s that I started writing for fun. Because,
yeah. So I
I
guess
got,
all of these kind of inform each other as well, right? Can you give us some example of like some of the research you've done that has made it into your writing that maybe wasn't specifically for your writing to begin with, if you know what I mean? Like just things you've learned and then said this I can work this in here somehow.
oh, that happens a lot. I don't know. I I think like any author, you always are putting little bits of yourself and bits and pieces of yourself in your stories.
Mm.
So, for instance, like my art therapy, the book about that's set in Portland, I actually send my characters off on some adventures around the Pacific Northwest because they're off doing fun things. So there's a lot of little stories in there about when I went up to Timberline Lodge or, when I went down to the coast and things that I've done in my past or that I know about or have researched in the past for my own personal enjoyment turn up in a lot of my stories. So you'll see that in art therapy. You'll see that in the diversion plan. Actually, diversion plan I started that during the period of time here in Portland where we had that law that said that you wouldn't be arrested for any drug use at all.
Mm.
And of course they just repealed that. But during that story, because of my law background, I knew all about this particular law. So I put that in and that whole story started because of that silly law. And now it doesn't exist. So
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know that one goes. It's always a danger of contemporary writing, I guess.
exactly.
Um, so, and you're a member of Niwa.
Yeah.
How long have you been a member? And can you tell us about what resources it's provided that you have used or found interesting or useful? Sorry.
So I joined in January of 2025. I used to do all of my own marketing online for my books. I've only ever self-published. I do have one manuscript that I'm working on that I'm thinking might go traditional publication, but mostly I just don't have the patience to wait around to find someone who's interested in my books when I can go out there and market them myself and find my own writers or my own readers. So, but after 2025, the election in 2025, all of the places I used to market my books, all the social media sites became absolutely horrendously toxic. I just couldn't stand being on there anymore. People were attacking me and my books, and my books all have queer characters in them. And so I was actually feeling absolutely huge amounts of heat, and people were being downright mean. And so I've backed off of that social media marketing a lot. And I was looking at the time for organizations like Niwa that would help me promote myself, give me some outlets for marketing myself, give me some other resources. I've gone to several of your little meet and greets at Niwa. I love connecting with the other authors. They give me some great ideas. And then starting this year, I've started putting my books out at the sales at the different events that Niwa goes to. So I'm doing more in-person marketing, a lot less online marketing. And I love that Niwa has this vehicle set up already that I can just come and join you and be in these events rather than having to go out and search which events individually I would have to sign up for myself.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great at that. I
Yeah.
think. And speaking of events, are you going to be at any upcoming events soon?
Yeah.
Or
I'm going to be this Sunday. I'll be at the Beaverton Pride in the Park event. I'll also
oh,
be at the Portland Pride event selling my books.
yeah.
So, and I'm signed up to be in two or three others throughout the rest of the year. So we'll see. If you ever want to come by and say hi, I'll be there.
All right. And where can people find you? Are you online anywhere still? Do you have a
I
website or
am.
is there any social media that you're still active on?
Yeah, you can find me at Tag Rights. Let me make sure I have the right, if I actually,
Yeah. And I'll make sure you get the URL in the video description as well.
tagrights.com. That's my website. Um, I'll put that in the I'll send that to you, make sure you have the right thing. I do have a
Yeah.
website. I am still on social media, but I'm less there than I used to be. So yeah, but I
Mhm.
have my website. You can find all my books on my website. You can also find my books on Amazon or Books to Read, um, Barnes and Noble. I'm pretty much everywhere. Apple Books. I publish everywhere.
Okay. And well, thank you very much then for this. And is there anything you'd like to add before we go?
No, I just really appreciate Niwa and the opportunity to have this interview and to meet the new people and have these great new opportunities. So thank you.
Okay, thank you.